Greetings to all. Myself Pragati HP. I'm a computer science engineering student in EWT College, Bangalore. I have done my internship on Cisco networking in Navin Gurukula, associated with 3Q Sutantra under the guidance of Navin sir and Kishan sir. So I've just finished my internship project and I'm here to give the presentation on the same. So my project name is Banking Sector and we have done it in a team of 7 members. The agenda of our project was to create a basic infrastructure for our banking sector and plan the configurations accordingly. So we have started our project with preparing the vomit chart, and then we headed with a requirement collection and then planning of basic infrastructure and segregation of tasks among different teammates and then executing those tasks individually and then integrating all these pieces of tasks and then testing, troubleshooting, and we are at the phase of project where our project is ready for project handover. To list some of the events what we have implemented in our project. So we have started with planning and then topology, IP address planning, routing the configuration, switching, integration, testing, troubleshooting. And we have also maintained the Scrum board and daily report on task completion. And we have also the master board and individual Scrum boards. Coming to the device requirements, so these are all the devices what are all there in our project. So we have one mini ISP cloud with 4 different ISPs and 4 routers per each ISP. And we have 2 data centers. One is the primary and other is the secondary. And then we have 8 different servers in each of the data centers. We have routers per branch. We have switches. We have PCs as end devices and even laptops and IP telephones. We have printers, 2 printers per each branch. That is a passbook printer and DD printer. And we have also IP telephones for branches and even for the back office. So we got our phase 1 requirement and the agenda was to create a mini ISP cloud. The requirements were like creating a ISP cloud for connecting 10 branches, 1 back office and 2 data centers. There were 4 different ISPs in a mini ISP cloud and 16 routers were divided into 4 routers per each ISP. And my role in that phase was like planning the whole infrastructure, IP address planning and hostname and password configuration for all the ISP routers. So we have implemented a Scrum process for developing our project where the product backlog was same as the agenda of our that phase. And then we have sprint backlogs as the events what we have followed. And that was a sprint of 5 days where every day we had a Scrum meeting where we have discussed what was done yesterday, what would be done tomorrow, and is there any obstacles while doing the task. And at the end of 5 days of sprint, so we have our ISP cloud done. Then we got our phase 2 requirement where the agenda was to create 2 data centers with email and FTP servers, to create 10 branches and configuring those branches, and to develop a connection among all the branches in the data centers through the ISP cloud. And my role in that phase was creating data center configurations and then back branches configuration. So we have divided those 10 branches as 3 branches per each team member, and then we have configured that. So I have configured 3 of the branches and even the data center configuration. So that was a sprint of 4 days, where at the end of 4 days, the data centers and branches were done, where the product backlog was same like the agenda, and then events were same as the sprint backlogs. And then we got our phase 2 part 2 requirements, where we got our phase 2 requirements in 2 phases. And this part agenda was to add HTTP, TFTP, NTP, DNS and syslog servers for the existing 2 data centers and to set up communication between the servers in the branches. And my role in this phase was planning, integration and troubleshooting. So I have planned the IP address for the different servers and those connections for different servers, and then integrating all those servers configurations was done by other teammates into our main project, and then troubleshooting the issues. And that was a Scrum process which took a sprint of 2 days, where at the end of 2 days we had 5 servers added to the existing data centers. And then we got our phase 3 requirements, where the agenda was to add Radius and TechAx servers for the existing data centers. And my role in that configuration was configuring the TechAx server configuration and even the troubleshooting. And that was a sprint of 3 days, where product backlogs like adding all the Radius and TechAx servers, and sprint backlogs were events what we have followed. And at the end of 3 days, that was done. And the final phase requirements, that the fourth phase requirements were given, and the agenda was creating the 10 branches and reassigning different AS numbers for different ISPs and even for branches and data centers, and then adding 2 to 3 floors per branch, and adding end devices to the branch, adding IP telephones to the branch, and then back office configuration. And my role in that phase was reassigning the ES numbers, so I have done that. And then VLAN configuration for different branches, and VTP configuration for back office, and integration and troubleshooting of whole project issues. And that took a sprint of 6 plus 6 days, where we have taken 6 days for creating and configuring the 10 branches, and then 6 days for configuring the back office. And at the end of 12 days, we had both of them done. So this was the whole process what we have followed. Coming to the project part, so this is how our entire project looks, with one mini ISP cloud, 2 data centers, 10 branches, and 1 back office. We initially started our project with creating a mini ISP cloud. We have 4 different mini ISPs here with 4 different routers per each branch, and also we have different ES numbers given to different ISPs of ISP cloud. We have done many of the configurations in ISP routers, like hostname configuration, console and telnet password configurations, interface configurations, and even the EIGRP configuration. In real time, usually ISP routers uses BGP configuration for communication, but here we have done it for just to demonstrate the connection between the data centers and the branches. So that's why we have used EIGRP configuration. To show some of the configurations what we have done, let me show all those configurations as a quick demo. So if I type a command show running configuration, so it will show all the configurations that I have done till that time in the particular router. Yeah. So initially we have done the hostname configuration. So I have given the hostname as ISP1R0 for this particular router. Usually other routers or the other end devices identifies another end device or a router through its IP address itself. But for our communication, we are giving the hostname, different hostnames. And I have also done the password, enable password configuration. That I have given it as PP. And then we have console password and even the telnet passwords. And then we have interface configurations done, and even the EIGRP configuration. So as I've already told, we have given different ES numbers for different ISPs. We have to redistribute the network belonging to the other ISP for that particular router while advertising. So this is what I have done here, redistributing the network which belong to other ES number. These are all the configurations what we have done in the ISP cloud. We have done the same configurations for all the 16 routers of this ISP cloud. Coming to the data centers part, so we have 2 different data centers here. One is the primary data center, and the other is the secondary data center or the backup data center. We have 2 data centers because if one of the data centers goes down, then the other will be working. So in order to reduce the redundancy, we have 2 data centers here. We also have 8 different servers here, which acts as a centralized storage or centralized service or the storage service. We have 2 different routers here connected to 2 different ISPs. So here also we have done it for reducing the redundancy. So if one of the ISPs goes down, the other will be working. We also have multi-layer switch here. So 2 multi-layer switches. As the data centers works with higher bandwidth and high speed, we cannot rely on simple routers. So in order to fulfill all the requirements of the data centers, we have used a multi-layer switch here, which will also be acting as a router sometimes, but for our project, it would be working just as a switch, higher end switch. We have one simple switch connected to 8 different routers, 8 different servers here. Coming to the different servers, so first we have an email server here. Email server is for holding or storing the incoming and outgoing mails throughout the whole project devices. So when you are using the email in a device, you need to have incoming and outgoing servers to store all those emails. Instead of having each email server for each end device, we have centralized a mail server that would be holding all those incoming and outgoing mails. To show a quick demo, let us go to any one of the end device and we'll compose a mail to any of the other branch device. So I have taken a B4, that is the PC of branch 4, and I'll compose a mail like test, and I'll ask, is it pinging? I'll send that. If I check in that particular PC, yeah, I have got a mail from that particular PC from which I have sent. So we'll conclude that the mail server is working properly and that would hold all those incoming and outgoing mails. Then we have FTP server. FTP server is a centralized storage space. So instead of having each server storage for all the end devices, will have a centralized storage through which all the devices will access the files from a particular single server. So that acts as centralized storage. To show that, so we'll go to any of the command prompt and we'll just type FTP 192.168.230.3. That's trying to connect. Yeah, connected. So we'll give a username and a password. Yeah, now you are in the FTP server, and if you see the directory, so these are all the files which are already there in the FTP. You can also add or delete those files from that directory. So the main difference between FTP and TFTP is TFTP acts without authentication. So you need not have any authentication for that. But for FTP, you need to have authentication. And TFTP won't save any directories. But in FTP, you can also save your directories along with the router and switching configuration. So we can conclude that FTP is a centralized storage for all kinds of files, including the directories. And TFTP is only for storing switching and routing configurations. To demonstrate TFTP, so you can go to any one of the routers and you can just copy your existing running configuration. So copy running configurations to TFTP. That would ask for a host address. Here the host address is 192.168.230.4. Yeah. You can give the destination file name. So if you want the file name as AAA, yeah, so that would be writing that router's configuration to the TFTP server. It's done. If you check in the TFTP servers, yeah, we have AAA file written here. So that would be saving all the running configuration of that particular router in TFTP server. So this is all about the TFTP server. Coming to the HTTP server, HTTP server is for hosting the application what we have in our project. So I have implemented a particular application where it has the details of our Navin Gurukula, and HTTP servers and DNS servers act in a bunch. When you want to open a web page and if you don't know the IP address, and if you just type the name of that web page, DNS will be resolving that name into its IP address, and you're going to get that web page what you wanted to open. So they both act together. I have a web page called www.mypage.com, but I don't know the exact IP address, but still I can get access to that web page by just typing the name www.mypage.com. Yeah, I have got a web page here. So the server which is responsible for opening this web page is HTTP server, and DNS server is resolving this name what I have given into its IP address. So this is the web page what I have done. So this is the home page. If I go to the tagline, this is a tagline of Navin Gurukula, inspired to inspire. And then we have about company. This is about the company, that is 3Q Sutantra. And then we also have logo. Yeah, this is the logo of Navin Gurukula. Okay, this is all about the HTTP and DNS server, where HTTP acts in a backend of a browser and DNS will be resolving the name into its IP address. To give the DNS server for each of the end devices, so you need not go to each end device and give the DNS server. You can just give it in a DHCP pool along with the network ID when you are giving, and you can just give the DNS server there itself. So that would be assigning to all the end devices. Coming to the NTP server, so why do we use NTP server is, it's a network timer protocol. So this timer or this server would be synchronizing the clock of all the devices. When you want to set up communication between any of the devices or the routers, there should not be any more lag, like more than 20 minutes of lag of time between those end devices or the routers or any of the devices. So in order to synchronize the clock of all the devices to set up the communication, we have NTP servers here. Instead of like setting clock in every end devices, so you can just set a clock in NTP, and if you give access, so that would be synchronizing all the end devices. So it's very simple, like you'll just go to the server and you just give the timings, and then if you type, so if you just go to NTP server and you'll give the timings, and that would be displayed in all the routers and all the devices here. Coming to the syslog server, syslog server is to get alert in any changes in the network. Whatever configurations or whatever changes you do in the whole project, so that would be stored in the syslog server. If I want to show you, this is the syslog server, and these are all the entries that it has. These are all the configurations or the changes what have been done till today, so till this time in the whole project. So all these things would be maintained in the syslog server. So when you want to get any information for troubleshooting, or when you want to check where it went wrong, so you can just go to syslog server and you can check it out. Coming to the TechAxe and Radius server, so basically TechAxe server is for giving a centralized authentication, and Radius server is for remote logging. TechAxe server gives a centralized authentication, so instead of going to every end device or the router and giving it a separate password and the username, you can just go to TechAxe server and you can just give the username and password, and if you get access to end devices to the TechAxe server, so that would be its username and password. If I want to show you, so I have done TechAxe server for 5 of the routers here and Radius for 5 of the routers. So this is my router where I have done TechAxe, and I have given username as U1 and password as U1. Yeah, I have in the router configuration. So automatically it will be taking the username and password what I have given in the TechAxe server. For Radius, I have done Radius configuration for 5 of the router. It is for remote login. Let us try to log in for the router B2 from any one of the remote device. So if I type telnet and its IP address 192.168.15.1, yeah, that would ask for a username and the password. That would be taking some time. Yeah, now we are in the router B2. So this is for remote login. This is all about the two data centers. So same configurations we have done for backup data centers too. So if one of the primary data center goes down, the other would be working. Coming to the branches, we have 10 branches here, and we have done interface, EIGRP, host name and password configurations for all the routers here. Apart from that, we have done DHCP configuration to show that. Yeah. So coming to the configurations, what we have done in the routers of the branches. So basically we have hostname configuration here, and then we have DHCP configuration. We have excluded some 20 number of IPs while giving the DHCP IP address. It is to give those IP address when we add a static IP address devices. So in order to give that, so we have excluded some of the IP address here. And then we have a DHCP pool. Then we have given a network for DHCP pool from which the IP address would be assigned. And then we have a default router through which the communication would be set up from between the LAN and the WAN. And then we have given an IP address, IP telephones configuration here. And then we also have a DNS server. We have one AAA new model. So for this router, it would be for Radius. And then we have username and password given for that AAA model. We have a name given for that AAA model, that is GN group. And then we have FTP server configuration. And then we have all those interface configurations. And then EIGRP. And then Radius configuration, what I have told. And then we have syslog configuration where we have logged into that syslog. And then we have, these are all the configurations for IP telephone. So these are the numbers what we have given for IP telephone. So we have 2 IP telephones here, and these are the numbers what we have given. And these are for just to register that IP telephone. So if I try to ring from one telephone to another, number of this telephone is 2222, and 2221 is the another telephone in the same branch. Yeah, it's ringing, so it's communicating. If I try to ring the IP telephone from other branch, so that also would be possible, as we have already done those configurations. So if I try to ring for another branch, yeah, it is communicating. If I want to show in that branch too, that's ringing here, and if you go to IP telephone of that branch, yeah, it's ringing from 2222, so it's connected. This is about the IP telephone. Apart from all this basic configuration, we have also done VLAN and VTP configuration. We have not done inter-VLAN for all the branches, so we have given VLAN number as same as one for all the ports of switches. But for branch 3, we have given different VLANs to show that. Enable show VLAN. Yeah, as you can see, we have two different VLANs, that is manager and cashier, with a VLAN number 10 and 20 only in the branch 3. But as we have not done inter VLAN, we cannot communicate between branch 3 and any of the other branches of the whole project. So that's why we have not done given different VLANs for different ports of any of the other branches, as we have not done inter VLAN. And we have also done VTP configuration for all the branches. In VTP, we have two different status, that is, the one is the server and the other is the client. Why you have done VTP is, so when you want to do any configuration in the VLAN or any other configuration in the switch, you need not do all those configuration in all the servers, all the switches. So if you do that configuration in the server switch, and that would be displayed in all the client switches. And why we do VLAN is to create or to subdivide the existing LAN into the sub VLANs or the sub LANs, so that you can set up, you can restrict the communication between all those sub VLANs or the virtual VLANs, and that would be acting as a security for some of the transactions in the banks. To show the VTP configuration, what we have done, so we have just go to switch and type show VTP status. Yeah, that will be showing the VTP status, where to show the VTP, yeah. So this is the VTP status, where here the operating mode is server and the other would be a client. So here we have 6 existing VLANs, so this would be displayed in the client too, to show that VTP status, show VTP status. Yeah, here the operating mode is client, and whatever configurations you do in the server switch, so that will be displayed in the client switch too. Coming to the back office, so back office is a crucial location where all the higher bandwidth operations of bank would be performed, like check clearance, loan process, and etc. This also would be acting as a telebanking center, and it also would be synchronizing the whole activity of all the other branches. Configuration of bank branches is same as the other branches we have done. The only difference is we have a multi-layer switch here and 2 to 3 floors. So here we have ground floor, first floor, and second floor, and the third floor, including the back office for all the other branches also. So we have connected the router to different ISPs in order to reduce the redundancy. So if one of the ISPs goes down, other will be working. So for that, we have 2 different ISPs, as we cannot rely on the single ISP for higher end transactions and all. And then we have IP telephones here, like more number of IP telephones for telebanking. Why we have used IP telephone itself is that would be more secure and fast. The configuration is easy as compared to the other telephones, and that would be a This is all about the back office, branches, ISP, and data center configuration. And yeah, one more thing is we have also set up communication between the IP telephones for branches in the back office. To, if I want to demonstrate that, so let us try to communicate for the IP telephone 2222 from any one of the branch telephone or the back office telephone. Yeah, if I type 2222, yeah, that would be ringing, so that would be communicating. So this is all about the project. Coming to the troubleshooting, what we have done. As I've already told, different tasks was done by different individuals, and we have integrated all those tasks to the main project after the individual piece was executed. So during that time, we have got some of the troubles, like we wanted to change the AHRP configuration and even the interface configurations. Sometimes those ISPs were clashing, so we have resolved that also. And then in the AHRP also, all those redistributing and advertising networks were changing while the integration of the project, and even the interfaces were also changing, so where we recreated all those interface configurations. So apart from that, there were no any other troubles. Coming to the further development, what we want to do in our project is like we'll be implementing the network security and even the inter-VLAN configuration. So as we have not done inter-VLAN, so we'll be doing that also. And then we need to add a centralized DHCP. And we are also planning for cryptography, like all those adding those cryptography configuration or parts in this project. So these are all about the future development, what we are planning to do. Coming to my experience in Navin Gurukula, so it was my immense pleasure for being a part of this internship program. I really have to thank our guide Navin sir for transferring their knowledge and like introducing so many network concepts and their consistent guidance throughout the project. And I also have to thank Kishan sir for giving us idea of how the Scrum process would work and all those Scrum board maintenance and all. So thank you, Navin sir and Kishan sir. Thank you all.